It's a Paris Chong Show. It's a Paris Chong Show, show. It's a Paris Chong Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Paris Chong Show. I'm extra excited today because I have my favorite girl here, Cheriss May. Woo, 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 woo. Can I get a woot woot? Woot woot. Cheriss May just came in from the DC area, and she's an amazing storyteller and an amazing photographer. She did a show at Like a Gallery before. She's loved by the Obamas and loved by all. She actually has a lot of great stories, and part of the way that the Paris Chong Show all happened is my partner here, Neil, was in one day at the gallery, and Cheriss just so happened to be in town, and we were just shooting the shit like we do, talking stories, and she was telling so many amazing stories that this all kind of ended up happening. So I kind of owe it to you, Cheriss.
Aww,
thank you.
Hey.
I knew I loved you. So there's so many things to talk about. You're doing some work with Malachi Rivers for Moments, and a lot of mental health awareness things also with Brandon Ralph from Leica, who just did a project. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay. So you talked about Moments First, was a series that Malachi Rivers created. And I actually met Malachi at the Leica Gallery.
I know, I can't
here,
believe that.
You know?
I just found that out today.
Yeah, we have a mutual friend who brought Malachi to my exhibition that I had at the gallery with Kwaku Austin. And Malachi and I met there. I took him through the exhibition and I told him the stories behind the images. And then Malachi said to me, "Have you ever considered directing?" And I hadn't really thought about doing work in the industry like that, but it started to make me think. And so when Malachi created this series Moments that deals with mental health issues, I came out and I created specialty portraits for the project. So thanks to Paris Chong for the Paris Chong Show and Leica, we are going to screen Moments. So speaking of Moments, Malachi Rivers created this series called Moments. And I met Malachi at the Leica Gallery. A mutual friend brought him to see my exhibition I had that Paris curated with Kwaku Austin. And so we met there. And as I was taking Malachi through the exhibition, telling him the stories behind some of the pieces, he said to me, "Have you ever considered directing?" And I had never really considered doing work in that industry before.
I could see you doing that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, well, thank you. So Malachi created the series, and I came out and I did the specialty portraits for it. And thanks to Paris Chong and Leica, we're going to screen the project in a few days, actually.
Wednesday.
And this series deals with mental health issues. It's Mental Health Awareness Month.
Mm-hmm.
So, thanks to you all, for allowing us that opportunity to screen that with some much needed, issues that go on that a lot of the times we sweep under the rug.
Yeah.
So, and then Brandon Ralph is doing some work with LifeStance, which deals with mental health. And so LifeStance partnered with Leica this year.
It's incredible.
And so I was one of, I think they have 12 Leica photographers, artists. And we were charged with creating images that spoke to anxiety and stress and those things that, happen to us mentally. And so I was one of the photographers as a part of that project. And so that campaign started the first of this month. So very important work, critical work.
A lot of good work. And LifeStance, one of the biggest mental health places you can go to get help for that, and which is unfortunately blowing up at this time in the world.
Yes.
With everything that's happened in the last several years. It's been a really difficult time for everybody. And I think that a lot of people are struggling right now. So I'm really happy to see that we're getting that help for people and getting awareness for it, because for many years it was taboo to even discuss, or people are embarrassed to talk about their anxiety or what they're going through. But I think it's really coming to the forefront now, and I think it's super important.
Very important.
And it's appreciated what you do, I can't wait to see the screening.
Exciting.
Very, very exciting. And it's fun to do different things at the gallery besides the art shows, which of course I love. You shoot a lot of political figures in Washington, D.C. Cheriss is just an all-around badass photographer. She graduated from Howard University.
HU?
HU.
You know?
You know it. And she's just Oprah loves her. Oprah loves this girl. The Obamas love her. I love her. She's a lovable lady. And she's done a lot of really great work and is just an amazing visual artist and storyteller. And she was actually on a job at the Capitol on January 6th. So why don't you tell us what happened that day?
I was on an assignment with Getty Images, one of 3 photographers that was assigned to cover the historic vote count, presidential vote count in the Capitol. And so business as usual. When I've done other work in the Capitol, very ceremonial, quiet. I went early in the morning because I wanted to document the quietness, the stillness. I typically gravitate to those moments that are quiet and still in the midst of chaos. So I wanted to go early ahead of time and just kind of, get some images before the Congress people showed up and before everything got started. So I went and I did that, and it was like eerily still. I did notice that. And I just remember family and friends who knew that I was going to be at the Capitol that day working, they were saying to me, be careful, don't, just watch yourself, and, we're praying for you, all these things. And so, I clearly remember saying to them, like, I'll be fine. I'm not going to be outside where everything is happening. I'm going to be inside the Capitol. Nothing ever happens there. Yeah.
Famous
Those
last
are the
words.
famous last words. Nothing ever happens there. I've never, out of the times and the years that I photographed there, nothing did ever happen there. I could go in and drop my bags and drop my guard and just do the work and not worry about any kind of security issues, So that day was different. It started out very quiet, as I said. And then as the staff started to come in and the Congress people, I started to document that. And I was charged with documenting them bringing this ceremonial ballot box from the Senate side to the House chamber. And so it was the vice president and the senators from that side. And they were walking across through Statuary Hall and through the rotunda to go to the House chamber. And like I said, very ceremonial, quiet, usual.
Yeah.
Little did I know, like earlier that day, I got a call from the editor at the New York Times asking me if I could do a portrait of Gabby Giffords the next day. And I was like, oh yeah, definitely. Because, Gabby Giffords, like, she is inspirational because what she went through, like, she shouldn't even be alive. And she's still out there doing the work. So I said, yeah, I'll definitely do that. And so I knew that was coming up the next day. Went about my work, and they went into the House chamber. And then I went up in the balcony of Statuary Hall because I wanted to get a different angle of the senators and staff, vice president, coming back over to the Senate side. So I went up in the balcony to take those photos. Nothing out of the ordinary. Okay, cool. So when they went back to the Senate chamber, I pulled my laptop out. I had a small backpack with me because normally I would keep things in our office there, and I would leave my backpack with my laptop and different things, and just carry like essential things with me. This particular day, I had my backpack that had my car keys, my laptop, essentially everything I needed except like my coat because it was cold.
Yeah.
But my essentials.
What you needed to get the hell out of there.
Little did I know.
Yeah.
So I was in the balcony. I pulled my laptop out, and I'm uploading my photos so that I could put captions on them and send them to Getty so they could get them out on the wires. And my dad called me. And so I pick up the phone, and he said, where are you? And I said, I'm inside the Capitol. I'm filing. He's like, oh, he said, it looks pretty bad out there. I was like, yeah, but I'm good. I'm inside. Yeah. We're cool. And he's like, okay, well, just be careful because it's looking pretty bad. And I was like, okay. So I'm inside the Capitol. I can't see what's going on, what's coming, to the Capitol. No idea. And as I'm following, I start hearing these big booms. It sound like cannon booms. And somebody told me they're like flashbangs or something like that. So I hear that, and there's an office that's connected to the balcony that was open, and someone was in that office who was a part of Congressman Clyburn's staff. So I knocked on her door. She invited me in because she had a window that looked out on the lawn. And this lawn, you could see the Washington Monument, but it also had the tall wooden riser that the media was going to use for the inauguration, so that's where they would be positioned with the cameras, so they could cover that. And I could see people on top of that riser, and they were rocking it. They were just rocking back and forth. They had these large Trump flags I saw waving. And I look out, and it's like tons of people just walking from the direction of the Washington Monument towards the Capitol. And so the lady whose office I was in said, you know what? I don't think I'm going to make it to my car, like right now. I said, yeah, I don't think so. And so as we're talking, someone comes up from downstairs to her office, and she said, we have to go. We have to shelter now. We have to shelter. We have to go inside. And so it was myself, and there were two other photographers who were in the balcony. And so they invited us to come with them to shelter. And as we were coming out of the office, I look over the balcony of statuary, and that's when I saw the Capitol Police. They were piling these bike racks to block like the House chamber, like the hall. And I had never seen anything like that in life. So I was like, okay, something's really going on. It's serious. But still didn't know that there was a breach and people were inside the Capitol. So they look up, they see us up there, and they said, you guys need to shelter now, like get inside now. And so I just remember the lady who came up and said we had to get inside, she had all these keys on a keychain. And she's like fumbling with the keys, like her hands are shaking. And she's like fumbling the keys, like, okay, I'm trying. So we're just like standing there, like, and so she finally gets the key to unlock the door we need to go in. And we go up this back staircase to Congressman Clyburn's office, where the rest of his staff, they were already in there. So as soon as we got in the room, they barricaded the doors with furniture that they pushed up against the door. And they turned all the lights out. There was a TV. There was a TV in the room, but they turned the volume all the way down, so we couldn't hear anything, but we could see. And that became where we stayed for like over 2 hours, because basically everything was on lockdown. They told people to shelter, and all that we knew, even though we were inside, we had to look at the TV to be able to see what was going on, because we couldn't see it otherwise. Now, there was one window inside of that office. It was a small window on this platform, and I climbed up on that platform a few times, and I took pictures, from that window, and it showed like.
And we're going to be able to show these pictures. So we're going to edit that in later, guys. So we'll get ready for that.
So I knew at that point it was like, okay, this is like nothing that has ever happened before. It turned my whole world upside down, because I always looked at the Capitol as one of the safest places, if not the safest place in this country. So now it's totally different, and we're watching things unfold on TV. I had no signal on my cell phone, so I knew that I had friends and family who were trying to get in touch with me, and they couldn't. Like it was just the signals, it was jammed. So we were just sitting there kind of quiet.
Horrifying for your father, who knows that you're there, and for your family.
My mom and dad.
I can hear the emotion in your voice while you're talking about this, like you're living it all again.
Yeah,
like
it does.
It sounds so traumatizing.
Yeah. So it's something, I'll never forget that day. It's like it happened yesterday. But I've learned like over time to I'm a lot better talking about it now.
Yeah.
Because before, like anytime I would go to talk about it, I would get emotional. A lot of emotions would just flood, and I would have to stop. For me to continue to do the work was what kept me going. When people said like, people said to me like after like, oh, so you're going to take a break right now, just take like a breath.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have an assignment tomorrow. And they're like, you're going to go work tomorrow? I was like, yeah. I said, this like doing the work for me is what helps me to get through.
It's your therapy, working your therapy.
Oh, most definitely. And I did, seek help to, talk things out and everything. I think that's very important because, the work, when you do work that involves like some pretty emotional things.
I bet. That's cool. That's not, and we're good friends, and that's the first time I've heard that you didn't actually talk to somebody after that.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to hear that you did that. And it's so important. Again, like I said, it's not when you need help, get help.
Yes.
It's nothing to be. I don't think I actually was in the Paris terrorist attacks, and that was traumatizing.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. I was locked in a place and it was horrible, but I didn't actually. I don't ever have a chance to think about what the next step is to do. So, I probably needed help after that, but I love hearing that, especially that we're in Mental Health Awareness Month of May,
definitely.
that you did seek help. That's really amazing.
You're right. You have to find a way. You need a release because you can't hold on to those things.
Yeah.
You'll implode.
You'll get sick.
Yeah. It'll cause manifestations physically.
It'll cause you to
exactly. Die. So you have to release, you have to, so whatever that looks like, for you, that's going to help you to, take a breath and get it off of you.
Yeah.
I think that's like really critical.
How long did you talk to somebody for?
Maybe a couple times. For me, like what I found worked for me was to not let that stop me from doing something that I know that I'm purposed to do. So for me, like to not be working in my purpose was the worst thing. So continuing to do the work was what made me feel like I could breathe.
Well, you're a storyteller, so you have to keep telling the story, and that's your purpose in life because you were there on an innocent day, and it turned into just creating more for what you actually do so well, which is storytelling.
And Maya Angelou, one of her quotes, she says, there's nothing worse than having an untold story inside of you. So I live that. That's real.
I love that quote. I haven't heard that one before. Yeah. I'm a big Maya Angelou fan. I'm like a psycho fan of Maya Angelou. Yeah. And since you brought that up, we have a really cool, happy story to tell. That's one of my favorite Cheriss May stories about the time that you were gifted to photograph Maya Angelou.
Yeah, very happy story. So I was photographing Maya Angelou during her the unveiling of her portrait at the National Portrait Gallery, and this was in the last days for Maya Angelou because she soon after, I think like a week later, passed.
It was meant to be.
It was really close. So growing up, I read her work. I admired her. And so to have the opportunity, like I still get goosebumps talking about it. So before she came, I'm back in the green room with another photographer and a male photographer. And I was the only woman photographer. And her people came to us and said, she's sick at this time. So she's in a wheelchair and she's traveling with an oxygen tank. So she has the oxygen in her nose. And the only thing that she asked is respectfully that you don't take pictures of her with the oxygen in her nose because she doesn't want to be remembered that way. So I actually was the house photographer that day. And they bring her in, and I just remember she's in the wheelchair. Excuse me. And her back is to us. And her head is kind of hanging down low, so hadn't made eye contact or anything. And as soon as she comes in the room, the other photographer is doing like a fashion shoot.
Oh, God.
Just like high speed.
After
taking these
hearing
pictures.
not to do that.
Yeah, and I'm like, and she has the oxygen in her nose, and I'm like, ooh. So the sister girl in me, excuse me, the sister girl in me connected with the sister girl in her, and I knew that he was going to get it. Mm-hmm. So I didn't want to have to leave the room.
Yeah.
I heard stories about, if you made her upset, like, yeah. And so I didn't want that. I wanted to have a chance to to talk to her. So I do that if anyone has seen that episode of The Simpsons where Homer takes the steps back and disappears into the bushes. I did the Homer Simpson. I disappeared into the bushes, and I just like stood there quietly with my camera down as the photographer is still firing away. So they turn her chair around. She's facing us now. She lifts her head. Enough. And I was like, oh, crap. And they come up to him, and they're like, sir, you got to go.
Goodbye.
You got to go. And so they usher him out of the room. I'm still in the bushes, like quiet, because I'm like, let me just wait for everything to settle and the mood to change so that I'll be free to, go say hello. And so I just waited there until I felt a release, like, the air had changed and I could like go over to her. As soon as I thought that, she looked over at me and she was like, baby, what's your name? And so I walked towards her and she grabs my hand and we're holding hands. And I said, Dr. Angelou, my name is Cheriss May. And it is my honor and my pleasure to meet you. And she said, it is my honor and my pleasure to meet you, Cheriss May. And then she threw her head back and started laughing. So then I'm laughing. I said, may I take your portrait? Yes, you may. And she takes the oxygen out of her nose. And I, took these photos of her. And so we had our moment. Okay, so I'm like, my day is complete.
That's
like,
a good moment, Cheriss.
Yeah. And so after that, some other people came, Oprah, Gail, King, different people coming back
Just a bunch of nobody.
to
Just a bunch of nobody showed up after that.
Yeah, just saying hello. So I'm just snapping away, in the moment, documenting that. And so then she had a conversation with Dr. Janetta Cole, who at the time was the director of the Smithsonian African Art Museum. Excuse me, I'm gonna take a drink.
Please do. We need a top up, guys.
I remember she had a Q&A with Dr. Cole, and then it was her birthday. We went back to the African Art Museum and celebrated her birthday. So they
How old was she that year?
Oh my God, I have to look back. I'm not
She
even
probably
sure.
lied.
She probably pulled a woman age on you.
Yeah, I'm not even sure, but they had a cake and it had this bird cage with a bird with notes and it said, I know why the cage bird sings. I mean, it was just like perfect. Her son was there. So we went back to the African Art Museum. We're celebrating Maya Angelou's birthday. And her son was there. Mm-hmm. Sounded exactly like her, because he's deceased now. But sounded exactly like her.
How's her son deceased? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wait. How?
I think health complications. I mean, he was in the wheelchair at the time.
Oh God, they were both in the wheelchair?
Yeah, they were both in the wheelchair.
Okay.
So I'm on the floor, like below her, with my camera. Mm-hmm. I took some video, in addition to photos, and she's just looking around the room, pointing out different friends and the little kids running around, and she's just happy, And then she starts reciting poetry, and she talks about how it's cloudy for some people and how they're having a hard time, and that she's willing to be a rainbow in somebody's cloud. And so she starts singing, and I don't know how to sing.
You're singing right now. You're singing.
Let me drink this water first.
No, you might want the champagne.
So she just starts singing, and she's like, when it looks like the sun ain't gonna shine anymore, God put a rainbow in the cloud. And so she sings that, and she said, you have to make the decision whether you want to be a rainbow in someone's cloud. She's like, I'm willing to be a rainbow in somebody's cloud. And I'm just sitting here like goosebumps.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe I'm here in this moment. I have goosebumps now, still talking about the story. So yeah, that was my Maya Angelou, I would say moment, but moments, that I'll never forget.
Wow. Such good stories you have. Now, what's next for Cheriss May? What's in the pipe works? What's your next big project that you can share with us?
So I'll share like a teaser a little bit.
We like teasers.
Yeah. So last year I started working with a creative director, And I did a lot. I was in school again, really, because she had a lot of homework for me. We were meeting like at least once a week. And I did all these assignments to get to the core of my story.
Yeah.
Because I tell everybody else's story all the time.
Good.
So I had made a decision like, you know what? I need to tell my story. And so I worked with Veronica, and she helped to pull this out and bring it together that is going to culminate into a photo shoot. And so it's going to tell my story of how photography helped me to find my voice.
Wow.
Because I was that little shy girl that
You're still a little shy girl.
had that anxiety about talking to people.
I was a shy girl too.
Yeah.
Look at us now.
So it's like, it's one of those things like I would be in social settings or networking settings, and I couldn't bring myself to go talk to people. I would just be kind of standing there like, and in my head, I'm like, Cheriss, just go say hi. Just go say hi. And it's like I had such a hard time like trying to do it. So to go from that to what photography did was it forced me to come outside of myself to make these connections with other people, to tell their stories. And so in order to have like that connection and to be able to share people's authentic stories, you have to make a connection.
Yeah.
So it forced me to like get out of myself, get out of that shell, get out of my mind, get out of my head. That's really what it was. And so I'm telling the story in 3 stages, and I'm really excited.
Are you talking about a book or TV show? Or
So I'm talking about it's going to be a photo shoot. It's a fine art shoot.
All right.
And then a book.
I love it.
Yeah, so
oh my God.
I'm so excited about it. Yeah. So this is
that.
July.
That's a good teaser.
I can even though the shoot hasn't happened yet, I see it clearly.
I see it too.
Yeah, and I've identified 3 people they're going to represent, but also I'm placing myself, within it as well.
I love hearing this, and Leica I'll help. Leica will help. And we love you. Leica loves you. So how long have you been shooting with Leica now?
Oh my goodness. So when did I start? It's funny because I first picked up like and I'm getting a little technical for the technical people, but I picked up a little small deluxe kind of point and shoot camera.
Yeah.
That was...
They're not the simplest little point and shoot
Let's
cameras.
see.
I have one of those.
This 2024.
Like, how year is
I think
this?
it's been like maybe 6 years now. But I just, Paris, like I believe in the power of words, and I believe in speaking things in existence.
Yeah.
It's like that kind of, I think when you speak things and you put it out there, your body will follow.
Yeah.
And your energy will channel
That's
towards, making that happen. So I remember walking into my first Leica store. It was the Leica DC store.
Yeah.
And shout out to Warner and Lou and those guys. And so I walked in there, and I very boldly, I looked at the exhibition on the wall, and I said, I'm going to have an exhibit with Leica. I'm going to have an exhibit with Leica. My book is going to be on these shelves. And I know they were like, who is this? Like just coming in here. And so I remember I bought my first M camera there because I was going to Ghana, and I was going to Ghana on this would be my first solo trip. And it was very empowering to and I recommend that to anybody that to take a solo trip like that, you really...
I would never have the balls to go to Ghana by myself. Not in a million
It was
years.
the safest thing ever. I was walking around streets by myself.
I have to go to Marseille for work, and I'm scared shitless going to Marseille.
No,
it's
it's
south
totally
of France. I'm
like...
a weirdo. I'm like, south of France alone? I heard it's dangerous.
I guess, look, Paris, if you can go through January 6th, and some of the other things that I've been involved in, my mind is like...
I've heard bad things about Ghana. Am I wrong?
Yes. It was the safest place ever.
Oh, they just show us those bad videos again.
Yeah, no, it was
It's like LA. LA is the most
perfectly
dangerous
safe.
place on the planet, and everybody's like scared to come here.
Yeah,
but I'm like, it's
nobody
nothing.
bothered me. I would walk around and it was cool. So I went to the DC store to get this M camera because I said, and this was during Ghana's year of return. And so I said, I want to take one small but powerful camera to document this experience. And so I bought an M camera. I told those guys, like, yeah, I'm taking this to Ghana. I'm going to do these photos and I'll show you. And I went to Ghana and I went with that one camera. I brought 2 lenses and I came back and I shared the photos with them. They were like, oh, wow, those are like really good. Like, okay. Yeah, so that's...
What are you going to do with those photos?
I have them. I'm not sure. I have them. It's right now. It's a part of my personal archive. I haven't done anything, with them, but very
you will.
empowering shit.
They have to be in the book. They have to be in the book.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Because there is another book, A Soul Connection, but the Soul Connection exhibition I had at the Leica Gallery, that's going to be a book. So.
Oh, I love hearing this. And I guess I get to be the first gallery to do the book signing.
Of course.
That's right?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah. But of course.
I better be. Well, I can't thank you enough, Cheriss May. I love you so much. I love your work.
Too.
I love you as a woman and a friend and a person. You're an amazing energy. And you can come back to the Paris Chong Show anytime.
I want to come back with Disco.
Oh,
I want Disco
would have been sitting right next to you. Disco's... My dog's a little sick right now. He's having a surgery. Please say prayers for Disco. #Disco Strong. No, but Disco has a little bit of a surgery that he has to do on Wednesday, so he's in recovery. I was going to lie and say he was getting a facelift, but that's just not cool.
I love Disco
getting a
too.
facelift, and he'll be back next week. Yeah, I love Disco too. He's my heart. I keep thinking he's behind me in the car. I keep trying to reach back to pet him.
Yeah.
But okay, well, thank you guys.
Thank you for
watching.
having me.
Thank
Paris.
you for being here. I love you.
Thank you for anyone who's listening.
And how can we see more of your work?
Definitely my website, which is my first and last name, CherissMay.com. That's CherissMay.com.
It's a Paris Chong Show. It's a Paris Chong Show. It's a Paris Chong